Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, why can't I just believe in myself? Not in a loud, dramatic way, but in that quiet, tired voice that only you can hear when no one else is around. It's a question so many people ask, yet so few are willing to face. Because deep down, you wonder if there's something wrong with you. You see others moving forward, speaking boldly, living freely, and you shrink, not because you want to, but because something inside whispers you're not ready, you're not enough. That whisper is doubt, and it's been with you longer than you realize. This isn't about being lazy or unmotivated. It's not even about fear of failure, not really. It's about the invisible war happening inside your mind every single day. The part of you that wants to rise is constantly fighting against the part of you that wants to hide, and it's exhausting. The hardest part, most people don't even know it's happening. They just feel stuck. They call it procrastination, overthinking, or lack of discipline. But underneath all of that is doubt, and that doubt didn't start today. It's been quietly growing for years, fed by criticism, by silence, by unmet expectations, by moments you've tried to forget. You weren't born this way. You didn't come into this world unsure of yourself. You learned to doubt. You were taught to second guess, slowly, repeatedly, subtly. So now, when opportunity knocks, you hesitate. When a dream stirs inside you, you question it. When someone compliments you, you wonder if they really mean it. That's not you being careful. That's not humility. That's the residue of old wounds that never healed. But here's the truth you need to hear. You are not broken. You are not incapable. You are not too late, too old, or too far gone. You're simply carrying a weight that was never yours to bear. If you stay with me, you'll understand something powerful, something that can change everything. You'll see that the real reason you doubt yourself isn't because you're weak. It's because you've been conditioned to protect yourself from pain by avoiding risk. Your mind has been trying to shield you, but in doing so, it's also been stealing your freedom, your confidence, your chance to grow, and now is the time to take it all back. Because once you uncover the root of your doubt, you gain the power to tear it out. You stop running, you stop hiding, you stop playing small in a life that was meant to be big. That's what's waiting for you. Clarity, confidence, conviction, not just more motivation, but real transformation. You won't just feel inspired. You'll know what's been holding you back and how to break free. So don't walk away now. The truth you've been searching for is closer than it's ever been. And by the end of this journey, you won't just believe in yourself. You'll finally understand why you always should have. You weren't born with doubt in your heart. You didn't enter this world questioning your value or your ability. That came later. Doubt was planted, seeded by the voices around you, by the moments that taught you to shrink when you should have stood tall. Maybe it was a parent who didn't see you, a teacher who overlooked you, a friend who laughed when you shared your dreams. These moments, though they seemed small, became defining. They didn't just wound your confidence. They rewired it. Over time, you stopped asking, what if I succeed? And started asking, what if I fail? That's how doubt works. It takes root quietly and grows unnoticed. But the fact that it was learned means it can be unlearned. The fact that it was taught means it can be rewritten. You've been walking through life wearing a script someone else wrote for you. A script filled with limitations, caution, and fear. A script that says, be realistic, or don't dream too big, stay safe. But whose voice is that really? And why does it still echo inside your head? The truth is, most of your self-doubt didn't come from you. It came from people who never knew how to believe in themselves either. And now you're carrying their fear, mistaking it for your own. But that ends here. Because once you realize that doubt is not a part of your identity, but a shadow cast by someone else's insecurity, you can finally let it go. You don't have to keep playing small just because others couldn't see your potential. You don't have to hold back just to make others feel comfortable. Your life doesn't need to be quiet to be accepted. It needs to be honest. And honesty starts with acknowledging that you were meant for more. Even if you were never told that. Even if no one clapped when you tried. Even if all you ever heard was don't. You were made to break those boundaries. You were made to rise. You've spent enough time doubting, enough time second-guessing, enough time rehearsing your failure before you've even taken the first step. But what if this time you didn't assume the worst? What if this time you leaned into the belief that you might actually be capable? That your dreams are not illusions, but instructions? That your desire for more is not selfish, it's sacred? You don't owe your life to your past. You owe it to your potential, and no one else can live it for you. You can keep waiting for permission, or you can give it to yourself. This is about ownership, about claiming your worth. Not because you've done everything right, but because deep down you know you were never meant to stay where doubt left you. You were meant to move, to act, to speak with the voice that's been waiting years to be heard. That voice is yours, and now it's time to use it. The world around you has been quietly shaping how you see yourself. From childhood, you were handed invisible rules. Be quiet. Don't ask for too much. Fit in. Be realistic. You were taught that being accepted was more important than being authentic. So you learned to silence your voice to be liked. You learned to shrink your ambition to feel safe. And over time, you confused obedience with wisdom. But the truth is, the world was never designed to help you soar. It was designed to keep things predictable. And predictable isn't where greatness lives. Every time you doubted your dream, every time you talked yourself out of trying, it wasn't because you lacked ability, it was because you were conditioned to fear standing out. You were trained to settle, trained to measure yourself by someone else's expectations. But what they call realistic is just a synonym for limitation. What they call humble often hides a fear of being powerful. And what they call safe is sometimes just another word for stuck. You've been living under a ceiling built by other people's fears. And now it's time to break through it. Because the system that taught you to doubt yourself was never meant to see your full power. It's easier to manage people who don't believe in themselves. It's easier to control those who are afraid of failure. But that's not who you are, not anymore. You've outgrown that version of yourself. The version that kept quiet just to belong. The version that waited for signs instead of trusting your own vision. The version that thought you had to be perfect before you started. That version was only trying to survive. But now you're ready to live. Living means creating your own rules. It means understanding that your value is not defined by how well you follow the script, but by how bravely you write your own. You don't need validation to believe in your mission. You don't need approval to trust your calling. What you need is the courage to stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if I don't try? Because the risk isn't in going after your dream. The real risk is waking up 10 years from now, realizing you still don't believe in yourself, because you never gave yourself a real chance. You don't have to stay in the cage that society built for you. The door's been open the whole time. Doubt was the lock, but truth is the key. And the truth is, you don't need to be fixed. You need to be free. Free to think bigger. Free to speak louder. Free to move, even when your hands shake. This life was never meant to be lived on mute. And your story was never meant to be hidden. You were not made to follow. You were made to lead. So take the step, not when you feel ready, but because you know you were always meant to rise. Everything you've ever wanted starts the moment you decide to stop waiting. Waiting for permission, waiting to feel confident, waiting for the perfect time. But confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. You earn it by stepping forward while your legs still shake. You build it by moving through the fear instead of around it. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll wait your whole life. Because readiness isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And the truth is, every time you doubt yourself, what you're really doing is delaying the version of you that's already capable, already powerful, already alive inside. You don't need more time. You don't need more preparation. You need more truth. And the truth is, self-doubt thrives in silence. It grows in hesitation. It feeds on the lies you tell yourself when you convince yourself that you're not enough. But those lies only survive because you keep repeating them. The moment you replace them with belief, the moment you start speaking to yourself like someone you actually respect, everything changes. Your life bends in the direction of your thoughts. So if you want to change your life, you have to change the way you speak to yourself when no one's listening. You are not the voice that says, I can't. You are the one who hears it and chooses to keep going anyway. That's strength. That's self-respect. You don't destroy doubt by ignoring it. You destroy it by acting in spite of it. The fear may never go away completely, but your relationship with it can change. You can stop treating it like a warning sign and start seeing it as a signal that you're exactly where you need to be. Because fear only shows up when you're close to growth. It only shouts when you're near a breakthrough. What if everything you've ever wanted is just one decision away? One moment of courage, one choice to stop thinking and start doing. It's not about being perfect. It's not about never being afraid. It's about showing up anyway, with the trembling hands, with the racing heart, with the voice that cracks because you're finally speaking your truth. That's real power. Not pretending to be fearless, but moving forward because your purpose is louder than your fear. You don't get this life twice. You don't get another chance to be the version of yourself you keep imagining. You've already spent enough time hiding, enough time doubting, enough time believing the lie that you're not ready. The time is now. The moment is yours. And all it asks is that you stop giving your power away to hesitation, or stop waiting for the fear to leave. It won't. But you can walk beside it and still rise. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not the absence of doubt, but the refusal to let it lead. This is the turning point. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because your life doesn't begin when doubt disappears. It begins the moment you stop listening to it. You are not here to be invisible. You are not here to blend in, to tiptoe through life, or to be a quiet echo of what someone else thinks you should be. You are here to leave a mark, to take up space, to live with such intensity and clarity that your presence shifts the room. But you can't do that while holding hands with self-doubt. You can't unlock your full strength while keeping one foot in hesitation. Doubt will never build the life you dream about. Only belief can do that. And belief doesn't ask for credentials. It asks for commitment. It demands that you stop waiting to feel worthy and start deciding that you already are. The most dangerous lie you've ever believed is that your potential is tied to your past. That the mistakes you've made define your future. That the things you didn't do somehow disqualify you from becoming who you're meant to be. But your past is not a prophecy. It's a classroom. And now you're graduating. You've outgrown the version of yourself that lived in fear. You've learned the lesson. Now it's time to move. To stop rehearsing the reasons why you can't and start rewriting the rules. You've been waiting for a sign. This is it. Everything you've been through has prepared you for this moment. Not to be perfect, but to be powerful. You don't have to fix everything to feel strong. You don't need to reach some imaginary milestone to start believing in yourself. You've already survived the doubt. Now it's time to rise above it. Your doubt doesn't scare you anymore because now you see it for what it is. A leftover habit, not a life sentence. You're allowed to let it go. You're allowed to stop carrying it like a badge. It doesn't make you cautious. It keeps you caged. And cages were never meant for people who dream. You were not designed to be average. You were built for growth, for boldness, for impact. Every breath you take is proof that possibility still lives in you. And that possibility becomes real the moment you choose it. The moment you stop giving excuses the microphone and hand it to your vision instead. Vision that speaks in hunger, not hesitation. That calls you forward even when the path is dark. That reminds you that discomfort is not danger, it's development. This is the edge. The place where most people stop, where they pull back, retreat, choose comfort over calling. But you're not most people. You're still here, still listening, because something inside you refuses to quit. That something is your future self, calling you forward, louder than the doubt, stronger than the fear. And it's time you listened, not with your ears, but with your actions. Because the person you're becoming doesn't need more time. They need a decision, a commitment, a spark. And that spark is already in your hands. All that's left is for you to strike it. There's a fire inside you that doubt has tried to smother, but it's still burning. Quiet, maybe, buried beneath hesitation. But it's there. You feel it when you imagine something greater. When you catch a glimpse of who you could be if fear didn't hold the pen. That spark doesn't fade. It waits. It waits for the moment you finally stop believing the limits. The moment you stop trusting the lie that says you need to have it all figured out before you move. You don't. You just need to take one honest step. That's how fire becomes a blaze. One small flame refusing to die. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too late. Those are illusions crafted by comparison. by self-judgment, by the constant pressure to measure your worth against a world that doesn't even know your name. But your path isn't meant to match anyone else's. It's meant to reflect your truth, and truth doesn't scream. It whispers. That's why you must get quiet enough to hear it. Your inner voice, the one that knows your strength, your value, your vision, it's still speaking. Even beneath the noise of doubt, it's there, waiting for you to trust it again. This is not the time to shrink. It's not the time to postpone your life while you wait to become fearless. Fear is not the enemy. Stagnation is. Let fear ride in the car if it must, but don't let it touch the wheel. Don't give it the authority to dictate your direction, because the cost of inaction is higher than the cost of failing. Failure teaches, regret haunts, and regret is born from the moments you knew you could have moved, but chose not to. You can avoid failure by playing small, but you'll never feel alive that way. Aliveness comes when you bet on yourself, when you do the uncomfortable thing, not because it's guaranteed, but because it's aligned. When you finally decide that fear doesn't get the final word, your purpose does, because your life isn't waiting on certainty. It's waiting on courage. The courage to trust your inner voice, even if it shakes. The courage to try, even if you've failed before. The courage to believe, not because everything is perfect, but because staying where you are is no longer an option. There's something sacred about deciding. It draws a line. It shifts energy. It tells the universe, and more importantly yourself, I'm ready. Not perfect, not without fear, just ready. And readiness is enough. You are allowed to change, allowed to rise, allowed to outgrow who you used to be. And you don't need anyone else's permission to begin. You just need your own. Give it. Give yourself the freedom to want more, the grace to start over, the power to rise, not someday, not when it's safe, now. Because deep down you already know it's not your doubt that's too loud, it's your destiny that's been too patient. Let it speak, let it lead, let it begin. You have spent enough of your life underestimating your own voice, silencing yourself to avoid judgment, hiding your fire to make others comfortable. But that ends the moment you choose to stop betraying your potential. Every time you swallow your truth, you build a wall between who you are and who you could become. That wall is made of hesitation, shame, and the illusion that you must be flawless to be worthy. But you are not meant to live behind walls. You were meant to break them, to let your truth breathe, to let your voice rise, not in arrogance, but in ownership. Ownership means you stop blaming the past. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop excusing your hesitation as wisdom. There is nothing wise about hiding from your calling. There is nothing mature about pretending you don't care. You do care. You've always cared. That's why you're here, still searching, still listening, still fighting the voice inside that says, there's more. And that voice is right. There is more. More strength, more depth, more purpose. But it doesn't come from the outside. It comes from the moment you stop pretending you're small and finally accept that you were born to be powerful. Real power isn't about control, it's about alignment. It's knowing what you stand for and refusing to shrink when the world asks you to dim. It's looking fear in the face and saying, you don't get to make my choices anymore. Doubt will always knock, fear will always whisper, but neither of them get a vote unless you give them one. And if you've been giving them control, you can take it back, right now. Not with rage, but with resolve. Not with noise, but with certainty. The kind of certainty that lives in people who know they've wasted too much time pretending to be less than they are. You don't need to become someone else to live a meaningful life. You need to return to who you were before the world told you to be quiet, before fear taught you to play small, before rejection convinced you that your worth was conditional. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be real. And the real you is strong. The real you is bold. The real you has already survived storms most people don't even know about. That's your proof. That's your permission. That's your starting point. If your voice shakes, let it. If your hands tremble, let them. You don't need to wait for fear to disappear before you act. You only need to believe that your mission is louder than your doubt. The moment you choose to believe in yourself without needing a reason, that's when things begin to change. That's when momentum starts to build. That's when you start becoming who you were always meant to be. And that version of you, They're not far away. They're already inside, waiting for you to say yes, waiting for you to rise. The moment you say yes to yourself is the moment everything shifts. You stop waiting for signs. You stop asking for permission. You stop carrying the weight of doubt like it's some sacred truth. Doubt is not truth. Doubt is noise. Noise that grows louder every time you choose silence over action. Every time you look at your reflection and question if you're enough. But deep down you already know you are. That knowing doesn't come from validation or applause. It comes from the part of you that has been waiting for years to be unleashed. That part is not afraid. That part is not weak. That part is ready. Ready doesn't mean fearless. It means willing. Willing to take the step without needing to see the whole path. Willing to trust your vision even when the voices in your head tell you to sit down. Willing to fall and rise again without shame. You weren't made to coast. You were made to climb. And climbing means pushing beyond comfort. It means ignoring the inner critic that says, stay safe, and following the voice that says, move. Because safety will never give you peace if it costs you your purpose. And the longer you choose safety over growth, the more you feel that ache, the one that whispers, you were meant for more. More is not about doing everything. It's about doing what matters, the dream you've buried, the gift you've ignored, the strength you've doubted. It's all still there, waiting for your courage to catch up. You don't need more talent. You don't need more time. You need to stop negotiating with your excuses. They've robbed enough from you. Confidence doesn't come from success. It comes from self-respect, from keeping promises to yourself, from doing the hard thing even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching, because that's where character is built. That's where doubt is destroyed. You don't need the world to believe in you before you act. The world follows those who move first, who act before they feel ready, who lead themselves when no one else will. You are your own permission slip, your own green light, your own rescue. No one is coming to unlock your potential for you. It was never theirs to unlock. It's yours. And it always has been. Every time you've looked outside for answers, you've only moved further from your truth. That ends now, because your power lives within, and it grows every time you choose yourself. The next level of your life isn't waiting for the right opportunity. It's waiting for a new decision, one rooted in courage, not fear, one that says, I refuse to live small, one that says, I'm done watching from the sidelines. You are not here to spectate your own life. You are here to own it, to shape it, to lead it. And that leadership starts now, not with perfection, but with permission. Your permission. Say yes to that. Say yes to you. And never look back. You've been conditioned to believe that confidence is something you're either born with or you earn only after success. But confidence doesn't come from what you achieve. It comes from what you decide. It's the result of choosing to back yourself, even when your hands shake, even when your voice is uncertain, even when there's no guarantee. Confidence is built the moment you stop waiting to feel worthy and start acting like you are. It's not about pretending to be fearless. It's about deciding that fear no longer gets to decide who you become. You've let doubt define too many of your choices. Let it whisper lies about who you are and what you're capable of. But that doubt was never yours to keep. It was passed down, picked up, learned, and anything learned can be unlearned. You are not your hesitation. You are not your fear. You are not your past. You are the person who chooses who you are becoming, and that choice starts when you stop believing the voice that tells you to wait until you're ready. Readiness is not a feeling. It's a decision. A moment when you say, I'm no longer willing to live a version of life that keeps me stuck. There is no perfect time to take control of your life. There is only now, this moment, this breath, this decision. And the moment you decide to trust your inner strength more than your inner critic, you begin to change your life, not in loud, dramatic ways, but in quiet, powerful ones. In the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak to yourself, in the way you get back up after falling, not because it's easy, but because you refuse to stay down. That is where self-belief is born, in the choices no one sees but you feel in your soul. You don't need another sign. You don't need more time. You need to stop choosing comfort over progress. Because the truth is, comfort is not peace. Comfort is a cage when it stops you from growing. Real peace comes from alignment, from knowing you're becoming the version of yourself that your younger self dreamed of. That version isn't built in a day. It's built every time you refuse to quit, every time you choose discipline over distraction, every time you remind yourself that temporary fear is worth permanent freedom. You have everything you need right now. Not someday, not after more validation, not once you've proved yourself. Right now. You don't need to wait for anyone to believe in you. You need to believe in the truth already alive within you. You were not made to live in the shadow of your doubt. You were made to rise above it, to lead yourself, to prove to yourself that your future is not built by fear, it's built by fire. The fire you already carry, let it burn, let it guide, let it become who you are. The truth you've been avoiding is this: the barrier isn't the world outside, it's the world inside. The fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs you carry are not facts, they are echoes of old stories you chose to believe. These stories tell you who you are not, what you cannot do, why you should settle, but they do not define your potential. You have the power to rewrite the narrative, to replace I can't with I will, to change I'm not enough to I am more than enough. This rewriting begins with the courage to confront the lies you've been telling yourself and to replace them with truths that empower, heal, and inspire. You have been living beneath your potential because it's easier to stay small than to face the unknown. But comfort is a thief that steals your dreams slowly and silently. The longer you let fear decide your limits, the deeper it roots in your mind and heart. Fear tells you to wait, to hide, to avoid risk, but every moment spent avoiding is a moment lost from becoming who you're meant to be. Growth demands discomfort. Courage demands action even when your confidence is shaky. Transformation isn't a future event, it's a daily choice. Every time you push past doubt, no matter how small the step, you reclaim your power. What if the very thing you're afraid of is the key to your freedom? What if that voice that says, "You're not ready," is trying to protect you from growth, not guide you? When you start to see fear as a signal rather than a stop sign, you unlock new pathways inside yourself. You begin to understand that fear is a natural part of the process, not a barrier to it. Your greatest strength lies in your ability to act despite fear, to show up for yourself even when your mind screams for retreat. That is the birth of true courage. Not absence of fear, but mastery over it. You have everything inside you to overcome the doubts that hold you back. Your mind, your heart, your soul, they are equipped for the challenge. You were never meant to be safe. You were meant to be alive. Alive in purpose. Alive in action. Alive in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. When you accept this, you begin to see doubt for what it really is. A call to growth. A signal that you are pushing boundaries, expanding limits, evolving beyond the old versions of yourself. Doubt is not your enemy. It is the signpost on the road to your breakthrough. So stop trying to silence doubt by ignoring it. Instead, acknowledge it, understand it, and then choose to move forward anyway. That is where true power lies. In the decision to keep going when it's easier to quit. In the resolve to trust your inner voice above the noise. Your future self is waiting on the other side of this moment, stronger, wiser, free. That future doesn't come to those who wait for certainty. It comes to those who choose courage over comfort. Will you be one of them? Will you choose the path of growth, purpose, and freedom? The choice is yours, and it begins right now. You must understand that self-doubt is not a permanent condition. It's a temporary reaction to uncertainty, to the unknown territory your soul is eager to explore. Doubt thrives in silence and neglect, but it withers when met with deliberate, courageous action. Every step you take against your fear weakens its grip. Every moment you push forward despite hesitation, you build a new foundation of trust. Trust in yourself, in your instincts, in your ability to navigate whatever comes next. This trust becomes a shield that protects you from doubt's corrosive power. It's not about eliminating fear, but about transforming it into fuel. The root of doubt is often the feeling of disconnection. from yourself, from your purpose, from the meaning behind your actions. When you lose sight of why you began, doubt creeps in like a shadow. But when you reconnect to your deepest reasons, your dreams, your passions, your values, that shadow fades. Your purpose becomes a beacon that guides you through uncertainty. It reminds you that the journey is worth every uncomfortable moment. Your purpose is not just a destination. It's the reason you get up each morning. It's what gives your steps meaning even when the path is unclear. Understand this, your mind will always try to protect you by resisting change. It prefers the known, the safe, the familiar, even if that familiarity brings unhappiness or stagnation. But true growth happens when you allow yourself to move beyond what's comfortable. It demands that you feel the discomfort of transformation and refuse to back down. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you reprogram your mind to accept courage as the new normal. You shift from living in fear to living in freedom. The moment you decide this, doubt loses its power, because you no longer feed it with your fear. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are the courage it takes to rise after falling. You are the strength it takes to keep going when everything inside you screams to stop. Doubt can only hold you captive if you let it. Your power lies in your ability to choose differently, to see doubt as a passing feeling, not an identity, to acknowledge your fears without letting them dictate your path. This shift in mindset is the greatest act of rebellion you can make against the voice that tells you to settle. It's a declaration that your life will not be limited by fear or uncertainty. The real reason you doubt yourself is because you've been conditioned to expect perfection before permission. But perfection is a myth that kills progress. Permission is something you give yourself in this moment, right now. You don't need to be flawless or fully prepared. You need to be willing. Willing to act, to fail, to learn, and to grow. Every action taken in courage chips away at the foundation of doubt and builds the life you deserve. The choice to move forward, no matter how small the step, is the beginning of your freedom. You already have everything you need. The question is, will you choose to believe it? The moment you accept that doubt is part of the process, you unlock a new level of freedom. Doubt isn't a signal to stop, it's a signal that you're growing. It means you're stepping into something bigger than your past comfort zones. Your mind creates resistance because it senses change, and change always feels uncomfortable. But discomfort is not your enemy, it's your teacher. It shows you where growth is happening. It reveals where courage is required. The people who move forward despite doubt aren't fearless. They're brave enough to feel the discomfort and act anyway. You have the power to choose which voice you listen to, the one that doubts or the one that believes. The voice of doubt wants you to stay small, safe, and predictable. The voice of belief challenges you to rise, to stretch beyond limits, to become more than you ever thought possible. This choice is yours every single day. It's not about erasing doubt, but about shifting your focus. When you focus on your potential instead of your limitations, your mind rewires. You begin to see obstacles as opportunities, setbacks as lessons, and doubt as a temporary state, not a permanent identity. Remember, your past failures do not define your future. Every step forward is a declaration that you refuse to be imprisoned by your doubts. You are reclaiming your power with every action, no matter how small. The key is to stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, or the perfect feeling. None of those exist. What exists is this moment, ripe with possibility. You were meant to use it, to take it, to make it yours. The path to confidence is paved with imperfect steps taken consistently. Each step builds momentum, dissolves fear, and strengthens belief. Your mind is a battlefield where doubt and courage fight for control. You cannot control every thought that enters your mind, but you can control which ones you act on. Don't give power to thoughts that diminish you. Instead, choose thoughts that empower you. Thoughts that say, I can learn, I can improve, I can handle this. Your brain is wired to adapt. When you repeat empowering thoughts and actions, you train yourself to believe in your capabilities. This is how transformation happens, by deliberate, repeated choice. Courage becomes habit. Confidence becomes your default. You deserve a life not defined by fear, but fueled by purpose. The real reason you doubt yourself is because your brain is trying to protect you from risk. But real growth and fulfillment are found on the other side of risk. The choice to embrace uncertainty is the choice to embrace freedom. To unlock your true potential, you must be willing to feel doubt and move forward anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the willingness to act in spite of it. When you do, you prove to yourself that your power is greater than your doubt, and your future is brighter than your past. This moment is yours. The decision to believe in yourself, to act despite uncertainty, and to reject doubt's limits is the single most powerful thing you can do. Your future depends on this choice. Will you let doubt control your life, or will you rise above it? The answer lies in your willingness to take that next step forward. Choose courage. Choose growth. Choose freedom. You were made for more than doubt. You were made to soar. Doubt feels like a wall, but it is often just a shadow cast by uncertainty. It feeds on hesitation and grows stronger when you pause and question your worth. Yet behind every doubt lies a door waiting to be opened. The key is courage, an active choice to face discomfort head-on and move beyond the invisible barrier doubt creates. You don't have to eliminate the feeling. Instead, learn to walk through it. When you step forward, despite the trembling inside, you dissolve the power doubt holds over you. The more you act, the smaller doubt becomes, until it no longer controls your decisions or steals your dreams. Your mind is wired to protect you from pain, failure, and rejection. This protective instinct, while valuable, can become a cage if you allow it to dictate your actions. Doubt is the voice of that cage, whispering fears and what-ifs designed to keep you safe. But safety without growth is stagnation, a slow fading of the life you were meant to live. True freedom comes from embracing vulnerability and uncertainty, knowing that your strength is not in avoiding challenges, but in facing them. Every time you choose vulnerability over fear, you reclaim your power and rewrite your story. To break free from doubt, you must develop a new relationship with your inner critic. Instead of letting it silence you, turn it into a motivator. Recognize that doubt signals you're pushing boundaries, that growth is occurring beneath the surface. When you welcome doubt as part of the journey rather than a barrier, you change your internal dialogue. You transform self-judgment into self-awareness and fear into curiosity. This shift opens a space where confidence can grow organically, fueled not by the absence of doubt, but by your willingness to act despite it. It's critical to remember that action is the antidote to doubt. Waiting for the perfect moment or absolute certainty only feeds hesitation. Life rewards those who show up, take risks, and persist. Each step forward is a statement that you trust yourself enough to keep moving, no matter what your mind says. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action, it is the result. You build it one choice at a time by showing up when it's hard, by believing you are capable, and by refusing to let doubt decide your destiny. You are stronger than the voices that tell you otherwise. Your potential is bigger than the fears that try to contain it. When doubt creeps in, remind yourself that it is temporary, while your purpose and passion are enduring. Let your vision for your life be louder than your fear of failure. Stand firm in the knowledge that progress is messy, imperfect, and often uncomfortable, but it is the only way forward. The courage to act despite doubt is the greatest gift you can give yourself. It is the first step toward the freedom, success, and fulfillment you deserve. The moment you decide to rise above doubt, you take control of your story. You shift from being a passenger to the driver of your life. This power is available to you right now. You don't have to wait for a sign, a perfect plan, or permission from anyone else. The path to your greatest self begins with one brave step. It is your choice to make, and your life will forever change because of it. Will you let doubt define you, or will you define your life by courage? The answer will shape your future. Choose courage. Choose yourself. Doubt can feel like a shadow that follows every step you take, but it doesn't have to be your master. It thrives on uncertainty and hesitation because it feeds off your fear of failure and rejection. Yet within that very fear lies the greatest opportunity for growth and transformation. When you begin to understand that doubt is not a barrier but a signal, a call to step into your power, everything changes. Doubt is not your enemy. It's a signpost showing you where courage is most needed. Every time you feel that unsettling pull of uncertainty, it's an invitation to rise, to lean into discomfort, and to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your fears. Your mind is designed to protect you, but protection can sometimes look like limitation. The instinct to avoid pain or risk can trap you in cycles of hesitation, where doubt grows louder and your vision dims. But growth never comes from safety alone. True progress emerges when you choose to confront discomfort, to challenge the voice that tells you you're not enough. This voice is powerful only because you give it permission. When you refuse to listen, when you take action regardless of what your mind tries to convince you, you reclaim your freedom. You build resilience. You create a foundation of self-trust that no doubt can shake. You must cultivate a new mindset toward doubt, one that acknowledges its presence without letting it control your narrative. Doubt signals that you're pushing boundaries, entering new territory. Instead of fearing this, welcome it as part of your evolution. Change your inner dialogue from "I can't" to "I'm learning," from "I'm not ready" to "I will grow through this." This mental shift rewires your brain, building pathways of confidence that grow stronger with every brave step. You become someone who acts despite fear, who moves forward even when certainty is out of reach. This is where transformation lives, in the space between fear and action. Waiting for confidence before you act is a trap. Confidence is built through action, not the other way around. Every small step you take in the face of doubt is proof that you are capable. Momentum is born from movement, and with each choice to show up, you weaken the grip doubt has on your mind. The courage to keep going, even when you feel unsure, is what separates those who achieve from those who stay stuck. Your future self will thank you for choosing action over hesitation today, because that choice is the catalyst for change, growth, and fulfillment. Remember that doubt is temporary, but the rewards of courage are lasting. Your purpose, your dreams, and your potential are far greater than the fears that try to hold you back. When doubt creeps in, remind yourself that you are designed to overcome. You are made to push beyond limits, to challenge what seems impossible. It's not about never feeling doubt. It's about refusing to let it dictate your choices. Stand firm in your commitment to yourself. Trust that discomfort is part of the journey, and that each step forward brings you closer to the life you deserve. You hold the power to decide what your story will be. Doubt may visit, but it doesn't get to stay. You choose courage, resilience, and belief in your own strength. Your path forward is waiting. It begins the moment you decide to move beyond doubt and take control of your destiny. Choose now. Choose to rise. Choose your freedom. The battle with doubt is not fought in grand gestures, but in the quiet moments when you choose to believe in yourself despite the noise inside your head. Doubt often feels like an unshakable truth, but it is simply a thought, one that can be challenged, reshaped, and ultimately replaced. Your mind is not a prison, but a tool. When you learn to recognize doubt as just a passing thought rather than an absolute fact, you take back control. This realization is revolutionary. It frees you from the chains of self-limitation and opens a space where courage and confidence can grow. The power lies in your ability to change your relationship with doubt and to refuse to let it define who you are or what you can become. Every time you resist the urge to give in to doubt, you build a muscle of resilience. Strength does not come from never feeling weak or uncertain. It comes from what you do when you feel those things. The mind's natural tendency is to protect, to avoid risk, and to seek comfort. But comfort zones are where dreams go to die. Real growth happens on the edge of discomfort, where doubt and fear are loudest. When you step into that discomfort with determination, you send a clear message to yourself and to the world that you are ready to expand beyond limits. This is the essence of transformation, choosing to keep moving forward even when every part of you wants to stop. You are not alone in facing doubt. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has wrestled with it. What sets those who succeed apart is their willingness to act anyway. Doubt is a universal experience, but it only controls those who surrender to it. To break free, you must practice radical self-trust. This means believing in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. It means knowing that mistakes, failures, and setbacks are not reflections of your worth, but essential steps on your path. When you treat doubt as a guide rather than a jailer, you open yourself to learning, growth, and ultimately, freedom. The power to silence doubt lies in action. Waiting for perfect clarity or total confidence is a form of procrastination that keeps you stuck. Confidence grows through doing, through small steps taken consistently over time. Each step forward weakens doubt's hold and strengthens your belief in yourself. You build momentum with every choice to show up, to try, and to persevere. This momentum becomes unstoppable, creating a cycle where courage feeds confidence, and confidence feeds courage. The path forward may not always be clear or easy, but it will always lead you closer to the life you are meant to live. Remember that doubt is temporary, but the strength you build by overcoming it lasts a lifetime. Your potential is limitless, waiting to be unlocked by your willingness to face fear and uncertainty. When doubt arises, greet it with calm determination, knowing it is a sign that you are growing. You are more capable than your fears, stronger than your hesitations. The moment you decide to act in spite of doubt is the moment you reclaim your power. You create a new story for yourself, one defined not by fear but by courage, resilience, and relentless belief in what is possible. This is your life. Own it. Choose courage. Choose freedom. Choose you. Doubt tries to convince you that your dreams are too big, your goals too distant, and your efforts too small to matter. It whispers that you aren't worthy, skilled enough, or capable of success. But this is a lie born from the mind's fear of change and the unknown. The truth is, your potential has no limits except those you accept. The barriers doubt creates are illusions, invisible walls that crumble the moment you step forward with courage. Your power lies not in avoiding fear, but in confronting it head-on, knowing that every act of bravery chips away at doubt's foundation. The more you embrace discomfort and uncertainty, the smaller doubt becomes, until it no longer controls your actions or steals your peace. This shift starts with awareness. Recognize the patterns of doubt as they arise, those quick, critical thoughts that try to stop you before you even begin. Notice how your body reacts, the tension, the hesitation, the urge to retreat. These are signals not to run, but to pay attention. They mark the edge of your comfort zone, the boundary where growth begins. When you pause and breathe through these moments, you reclaim your power. You shift from being a passive victim of doubt to an active architect of your future. This awareness transforms fear into fuel, hesitation into action, and paralysis into progress. Your mind is incredibly powerful, but it can only work for you if you train it. Replace self-doubt with intentional thoughts that remind you of your strength and your past victories, however small they may seem. Affirmations are not magic words. They are reminders of your true nature, resilient, capable, and worthy. When you repeat them consistently, they reshape your mental landscape, building new neural pathways that support confidence and calm. This rewiring takes time and patience, but it is the foundation upon which unshakable self-belief is built. You deserve to live a life where doubt does not dictate your possibilities. Taking consistent, small steps is the most powerful antidote to doubt. You don't need to leap over the entire gap at once. Just place one foot in front of the other. Action creates momentum, and momentum breeds confidence. Each choice to move forward, no matter how small, proves to yourself that you are capable of more than your doubts suggest. This process strengthens your self-trust, the core ingredient in overcoming any fear. It is in these small victories that your mindset shifts from one of limitation to one of expansion. You begin to see obstacles as challenges, setbacks as lessons, and fear as a sign that you are on the right path. Your journey will never be free from doubt, but it will be defined by your response to it. You have the power to control your narrative, to decide how doubt shapes your story. Will it be the reason you stop, or the fuel that propels you forward? The answer lies within you. Each moment you choose courage, you rewrite your future. You build a legacy of resilience, strength, and relentless pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. This transformation is not easy, but it is yours to claim. The real reason you doubt yourself is simply because you are about to grow beyond what you have been before. Embrace it. Step into your power. Your true self awaits.